Hello, our lovely Girl Awakening listeners. Welcome to 2023. I'm Jo Hendy from the Sacred Sister Project.
I'm Amanda Parker of Mayala Organics.
Come with us as we journey into this week's Awakening episode.
I talk to a spirit. She comes in my dreams.
It's Wednesday, yay!
Best day of the week.
I love, this is seriously, and this is no joke. It's becoming like a godsend to me. I just want the Wednesdays to come around real quick.
I want Wednesdays every day. Let's just make it one day a week.
Yeah.
This is what we do every day.
I know.
As much as we love everything else that we do.
Absolutely.
It all harmonises, but just it feels like the world needs more of this at the moment. And it's really just our hearts are so in this space of service and what we're creating in this space and the people we're connecting with. It's
also meant to be. And I love the post you this morning about coincidences, and there's no such thing. There is no such thing. If we're still calling them that,
we've got
it's you. You're creating it.
And literally today, the heart space. It's funny how how there are no coincidences, because everything we're doing at the moment just carries so much meaning and opportunity.
Absolutely. And there's no coincidence who we've got sitting in the chair today.
Absolutely.
I feel like she's come just to hold the space for me.
And me, look after us. And
sorry, no pressure. Okay, so we have the beautiful Carly Hicks in the hot seat today. She has a background in neuro-linguistic kinesiology, Western shamanism, and theta healing. We'll talk more about that at the end too. She has spent several years being in partnership with the universe. I just love that alone. On her own spiritual awakening journey to live in alignment with her heart, which we also want to be. And she is so excited to teach you how you can create an abundant relationship in co-creating with the universe and manifesting a life that feels in alignment with you. That's so beautiful. Welcome, Carly.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yay, we're so excited. We're really excited.
We're like pulsating excited.
Every woman that we have in activates something in Amanda and I. Seriously, there's magic happening, And I know we chatted a little bit about this, but you're feeling kind of the same thing in yourself.
Yeah, I feel like living in heart consciousness, being in the embodiment of your heart, you will come to see that everything is an activation. And there are no coincidences because everyone that comes into your life, everything that you do is an activation. And when you are living in the embodiment of your heart, everything you say, everything you feel, everything you do activates and creates a ripple effect of conscious change.
Let's just start there.
Well, let's just stop right there. Let's just have that on repeat for the next.
The thing that comes up when you say that, it's so powerful what you're saying. And the thing that comes up for me, there's so many aspects you can view that at. For me, when you're saying that, I keep thinking everything's happening for me. It's kind of another way of looking at that everything's an activation, everything's happening for me, or it's happening through me. It's an interesting...
Because you are the channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you live in your heart, you are the channel, you are the oracle, you are the essence. So when you're in a place of living in your heart, you're in full deservingness, and you don't have to chase, you don't have to seek, you don't have to do anything. Everything will come to you.
Yeah.
And when you live in collaboration with the universe, you see that the universe will bring everything to you. All you have to do is ask and get out of your own way.
Well, we're going to start right there because I think it's a perfect place to start and ask the number one question.
Thanks, Carly. Yeah, that just feels like we've just the resonancy of where we're sitting today is just dropped into place.
Yeah, perfect timing, divine timing. So how did your awakening begin?
It's a big loaded question. Simple but big.
I should add an S. How did your awakenings?
Awakenings, yeah. I've had 3 significant awakenings. So the woman that you see here today was not always the woman that I've been. I came into the world very spiritually open.
Yep.
In a family that was very spiritually closed.
Okay.
So I grew up in a lot of chaos, a lot of conflict. There was a lot of domestic violence, a lot of abuse, a lot of addiction that I grew up in.
Okay.
So I walked spiritually opening into immense darkness from a very young age.
What a
That feels very overwhelming.
yeah, I was going to say what a calling too, because you know we choose what we come into, and you were obviously
Yeah.
big enough to handle that.
Yeah. So for many years, I did everything I possibly could to run from myself, betray myself, neglect myself, because that was my generational pattern, right? I stepped into, I think I was about 14, 15, and I got into a path of addiction myself, which I stayed into pretty much close till I was 24.
Wow.
And I remember significantly sitting in my bedroom crying to the universe, just saying, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Please help me. I would pray.
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time what I was doing, but I was praying to the universe. And my awakening came, my first awakening came when I was 24. It was 6 days before my birthday, and my grandmother, so my grandmother on my father's side was my home.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
She was in every essence my safety.
Yeah.
And 6 days before my birthday, she passed away.
Oh, I knew you were going to say
Yeah,
that.
same.
She had pancreatic cancer. So it was a journey that cracked me open, but a month to the day, my entire body shut down.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the stop point.
Yeah, so for about so they thought I had MS or
Wow.
that's where they were going. So I went through, I had paralysis to my right side. I couldn't digest food, chronic fatigue, memory loss.
Wow.
You name it, I had it.
Can I just ask a question with that too? Not that it matters, but the addiction, was it a full-on, like every day, just it's what you needed, or were you just someone that just enjoyed the drugs here and there, but you still...
That's a really good question. It is, because I think sometimes we don't know when we're deep in something.
Yeah.
For me, it was all consuming.
Okay.
I went to work, that's all I could think about.
Yeah.
I came home, that's all I could think about.
Right.
I was drinking every single night.
Yeah.
And then when it hit the weekends, all I wanted to do was take drugs.
Yeah.
For me, it was all consuming.
Yeah.
But I want to say something too around addiction is, for me, I thought I was escaping.
Yeah, that's the word that comes into my mind.
But I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was trying to feel.
Yeah.
Because when I was drinking and when I was taking drugs, I felt like I was so close to my heart and I was free and I could feel. And that's what I was looking for, not the escapism.
Well, that's the trap too, because it's the illusion that you are getting that feeling of
You're being yourself, but you're
yourself
so
and all
far
that.
away.
But that's the energy field in itself, isn't it? Or the
Yeah.
entity that gets hold of you in addiction.
It's that twofold.
Yeah.
You're trying to find yourself, but that feeling of all embodying and being yourself can be quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
Especially, as you say, when you're spiritually aware, spiritually open, coming into a space where you feel a responsibility to be in your family, a connection to your family.
Wow.
And I think very young, and I think a lot of people, everybody is spiritual in their own way.
Yeah.
Sure.
But a lot of people will in turn, from a very young age, sacrifice that to be of existence in their family.
Oh, absolutely.
And
they
it's
want to feel
almost
the connection.
in their spiritual awakening, it's a reclaiming of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And when that's all you know,
Yeah.
it's like you want to be a part, you want to feel a part of something. And if that means taking up that role as the druggie or the,
Doing what
the rest of the family are doing to
yeah.
feel connected.
Yeah. And so I spent about a good 12 months through top.
It's intense.
Yeah, I went through every single specialist known to man for 12 months, and I was a medical mystery.
Okay.
They didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
But I couldn't explain it. It was the first time I truly felt like I was connected to my grandmother
Yeah.
on that side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like this hit within me, and I was like, this must be your intuition.
Oh.
And that's the first time it switched on was
Yeah.
when I got sick.
Yeah.
And I heard this like little niggling within me of like, go this way, go that way, look there. And I was like, yeah, but that's not what the top specialists are saying. You know, like,
Yeah.
and I was going through, you know, every blood test known to man, I was in hospital for a good 12 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
In and out. They didn't know what was going on. And I had this little niggle of look in your gut. Look in your gut, Carly. Look in your gut. And I pleaded with the doctors. I'm like, can you please just do some sort of test that looks in? They didn't want it. They were like, no, that's not it. It was a good 12 months, and then they finally surrendered.
Wow.
And yeah, it turns out I had a autoimmune condition, which was quite a rare genetic autoimmune condition.
Oh.
Yeah, which was, in simplest terms, it's called autoimmune gastritis.
Okay.
So my gut was attacking itself.
Wow.
But combined with genetics and also the long path of addiction,
Yes.
fully activated that gene on.
Yes. Wow.
So it took me, but that was the start of my first awakening.
Yeah.
And it was the awakening of my intuition, of listening to my body.
Yeah.
But it led me on the path of understanding food, nutrition. It led me into meditation. And for about a good 5-6 years, I just dived deep into things. Like, it was a long, slow journey to heal.
Yeah.
Because my body was so broken.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, like it took me about a good 3 to 4 years to even have no symptoms.
Yes.
Wow. It's a very powerful intervention, isn't it? Because I'm thinking that 12 months would have broken that cycle of addiction as well, or was that still current? Were you still trying to balance both of those?
Yeah, my cycle of addiction didn't really start to click until later, when I started to get into like my second and third awakening.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because it was a lot to do with limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they can be strong and powerful.
Even though you're nearly like you can't move and you're like in and out of hospitals, it's like, no, I still have to be this person. It's like, it's still this.
Yeah. So for that was my first awakening. And in that, I was also awakening out of relationships that weren't serving me, right? So my second so I had a partner and we had been together for 7 years. And this is where my second awakening began, because I was 29, right? At the start of my Saturn return.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. And I had felt for a while that there was something more going on behind the scenes. And we ended up getting engaged. As everybody, you know, got to do everything by the book, got to get a house, we got a house, got a dog, got engaged, and I felt nothing.
Yeah.
Immense nothingness.
Okay.
And I was like, shouldn't you feel more? And then I started to move forward and plan my wedding, and cracks were starting to show.
Wow. Yeah.
And I remember being in the house just going, like, it was once again that pit of your stomach, listening to yourself, that intuition kicking in of, you can't do this. And I didn't want to hear it. I just pushed.
Because the dream's coming true, the fairy tale, the signposts we're hitting.
I don't want to be 29 and alone.
Yeah.
You know, and all my friends are getting married and having babies, and who am I to step away? But the voice inside got so loud I couldn't ignore it.
Yeah.
And it got to that point where I had suspected he was falling in love with his best friend's fiance.
Oh.
That's what I mean. I got big awakenings.
Yeah. I'm
Smack down big awakenings.
I'm laughing because you're suspecting, but is that your intuition, like as an AKA intuition?
Well, this is where so many...
Or is it grandma?
Yeah. This is where so many people go into loops within themselves of like, is this my intuition?
Yeah.
And should I trust myself? Or should I listen to everybody around me?
Yeah.
You know? And I ended up pulling the pin, and my suspicions were correct.
Oh, so you pulled the pin before you actually even knew. Well, that's all power to you, because a lot of people wouldn't even
It was
do that.
huge.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't deny what I felt anymore. It was more uncomfortable to actually deny within me than actually face that.
Yeah.
And he was in denial for quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think it hit me even more because it really shook the foundations of womanhood too, of like, I wouldn't do this to another woman.
Yeah.
Yet I'm being faced with this. So my second awakening was stepping away from my fiance.
Yeah.
Being faced with ultimate betrayal and deceit.
Yeah.
I had to move back in with my mother. I lost my dog. I lost my house. And I lived with my mum for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And mum still... was mum, when you say addiction,
was that supportive?
Is that supportive environment?
Well, that's really interesting, isn't it? Because my mum had stepped away from addiction.
Yeah.
But she still had very deep childhood wounding.
Yeah.
And it was almost as in the sense that the universe placed me into that space of like, well, you can't run, Carly.
Yeah.
You're going to face this for 2 years.
Yeah.
And you're going to decondition a lot of this out.
Yeah. How beautiful. Like now, hindsight's a funny thing. You know, we can always look back and go, there was a reason that happened. Yeah. And for you to go back and support mum.
Yeah. Well, it's also really interesting because this is another part to the puzzle of like, when I started to feel like my relationship was crumbling, I kept getting this vision of this man standing alongside the beach holding a hand of a little girl. Oh. And I was like, oh, this must just be where I'm going. Because I would get a lot of visions and they would come true and I'd be like, this is where I'm going. But my relationship was crumbling.
Yes.
Crumbling. And for 2 years... I had the same vision and the same vision. And with every time I would see the vision, it was like I was anchoring it in.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is getting closer. This person must be closer.
Wow. Was it like a partner? Did you feel like it was a partner, or did you feel like it was just somebody, like another relative or something, or did you?
It actually felt like my spirit baby was
Oh,
calling.
yes. Yeah.
In alongside this partner.
Yeah.
Because I knew I deeply desired to be a mother.
Yeah.
And that was another part where I stepped away from the ex because he wasn't sure if he wanted a child. Yeah. And then when he moved in with this new woman, they got pregnant and got married.
Yes, yeah.
So
in other ways, that's kind of his uncertainty around being with you and loving you also was those things weren't feeling strong for him either.
100%, yeah, it's very interesting how it is a mirror.
Yeah. No, most definitely.
And so, I mean, speaking about it, it's, you know, A, B, C, D, but there's so much emotional turmoil in there and so much, as you say, like seeing things in the truth and being able to connect with them and move forward. That's very difficult to in that moment of what is going on, as you say, with things crumbling or...
It's the sliding door moment, isn't it? You know,
crazy.
It's like, whoa, where do I go? What's happening now? You know,
how do I say this to them? How can I have this conversation? Because you feel like you know their response or all those kind of scenarios.
And I feel like I was placed into awakenings of deceit and betrayal. Because at the core, I was betraying myself. So it was like there was no other way the universe was going to wake me up.
I feel that in my life.
I felt that too.
Stop deceiving yourself and stop running from yourself.
Yeah.
And we're going to pull everything away from you.
Wow.
That you think is filling your cup up and making you complete, because it's not.
Yeah. And we're just going to focus on this to free you out.
Yeah.
So
So then, so when I moved back in with my mum, it was such a journey. But everything fell away. So my corporate job fell away.
Wow.
My relationship fell away. I was in a 1-bedroom housing commission.
Yeah.
Right back to the start.
Wow.
Because that's how I grew up in government housing.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on.
Yeah.
But it was like us wiping the slate clean.
Yeah.
And then that's really where my spirituality started to really activate.
Yeah. So you were starting to realize, this is beautiful, it's literally the next question. So, you know, when did you first notice the shift in your thoughts about the world and you as well?
Yeah, well, it started then. From about 29 to about 31, I went through a really big stripping away
Yeah.
of societal beliefs, generational beliefs,
Yeah.
activating my spirituality.
Yeah.
And I started at that time talking to the universe. And I started through writing intentions and communicating and scripting with the universe. And I just set the intention. I was like, I'm going to surrender and you guide me where you want me to go.
Yeah.
And over those 2 years, I was divinely led. So I stepped into being a nanny.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
And I was led all the way up to Mango Hill. And I was a nanny for a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And in that time, it was a key significant time because I was healing my inner child through her as well.
Yes, yes.
But I was awakened to the Australian bushflower essences.
Oh, magic.
Yeah.
Amanda loves those.
Yeah. So it was a weekend. So I had her during the week, and on weekends I would be able to go where I wanted to go. And this is going to get even more magical. So every day I would go down to Redcliffe.
Yep.
And I'd sit at Redcliffe, and I couldn't understand why, but I just was like, I'm going to go there today.
Yep. Yep.
And then I was divinely guided up to the Sunshine Coast, and there was this introduction to flower essences, and I was like, I have to go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was Ian White.
Oh, yeah, how
T-
lucky.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I
Not
got
lucky.
to learn through
Meant to
Ian
be.
White.
I don't know who
Who's
Ian
the-
White is,
well,
but he
he's the
sounds like a special
founder.
He's the
person.
founder of the Australian
Oh,
Bushflower
yeah.
Essences,
Wow.
and he's like a 3rd or 4th generation naturopath. He's an incredible soul.
yeah.
Amazing person.
So I'm sitting
Being.
up there going, oh, okay, like, and that's where I started to really activate in. So I bought the stock kit,
Oh, yeah.
and I spent 2 years working with the flowers. Every day I would work and I would write
Wow.
what they would bring out in me, what I would feel. And I didn't realize it at
How
the time,
beautiful.
but I was actually stripping back a lot of generational beliefs through the flowers.
Yeah. It's the simple things, and it's the things we just don't expect.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
So just for the listeners, would you like to describe a little bit about the bushflower
Essences,
essences,
yeah.
how they work, like
Yeah,
what
so
the
they
premises
have
of
been
them is?
fundamental in my healing. And I also work a lot with women and children in my healing space with them. But the flower essences are vibrational. So you're working with the actual medicine of the land.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and what they do is so the flower essences, you take 7 drops under the tongue.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're energetically clearing the debris of old emotions, old energy, old belief systems.
Wow.
And then it starts to activate in new beliefs, new feelings. It's like you're stripping away the old to welcome in the new.
Yeah.
It's like you're coming back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it just feels like it just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
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 Vibrating the old out to make space for the new. Yeah.
So for 2 years, the universe said, go here, and I would do it. Go here, and I would do it. Go here, and I would do it. And the significance to going up to the Sunshine Coast was the flowers, and that's a big part of the medicine I work with now.
Yeah.
But the Redcliffe, you'll see how it's all divinely
Yeah,
linked.
yeah.
So when I came back from, for about 2 years, I was back at mum's, and then I would go somewhere and I'd be back at mum's, and it was stripping away the control, I think, that I had.
Yeah.
The universe was going, just trust, let go of control, surrender, and we will guide you. And I was like,
That old one. Far
are you
out.
serious, universe? I'm not doing that. And then I would have to surrender because
Yeah.
there was no other path that was being led but the one that the universe was
Oh, wow.
lining
there.
up
Offering.
for me.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and I was, I was 31, and I was like, I feel like I'm ready for a relationship again.
Amazing.
I'd done so much healing, and I felt somewhere within me the next part of my journey was to walk with someone.
Oh.
And
Oh, I
I was-
like that.
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
feel it moving you too when you say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a lot because I had come through, immense betrayal, and to open my heart back up again and go, you know? Yeah, but it just was calling me. And like I said, I was getting that vision every day. So I'd see a man, I'd see this little girl walking along the beach, and I'd be like, something's calling me. So over the space of close to a year, the universe guided me with 4 divine men on my path.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting because that whole year, not only did the vision of that man get stronger, but it allowed me to heal a lot of my father wounding through those 4 divine men.
So that man and that girl could have been many people and many.
Well, I'll tell you who they were. So over that year, like I would meet a man, and it was like as if we were cracking each other open.
Yeah.
That's that activation,
Yes.
right? We were talking about. And then for about 3 to 4 weeks to a month, it would dissipate.
Yeah.
And I would be like, why? Like, I'm calling this partner in. And then I would divinely get pulled to another person. And there was 4 men. And it was almost as if I had to detach from the codependency and the attachment to a partner.
Yeah.
But they were calling me in as well, these divine men.
Yeah.
And then it got to the end of 2019, and I just said to the universe, it was about like November, I was like, I'm done, universe.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a man anymore.
I don't need a man.
I'm done. I
Yeah.
give up, universe. I let go. And I remembered that I had decided to volunteer to deliver Christmas hampers.
Oh, that is the most amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful
for,
thing to do.
for
Yeah.
Christmas. And it was coming up to about a week before Christmas, and I remember the night before, my friend asked me to go out, you know, to the casino, and I don't really go out a lot.
Yeah.
But I had this intention that I was going to meet this man. I was like, okay,
Oh,
I'm going.
Yeah.
And it got to like, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like looking at all these men going, are you in? Are you in? Are
Which
you
one?
in?
Which one?
Which one's going to be my Christmas present?
It was like that.
At the casino.
I could feel he was right next
Wow.
to me. This feeling of like, you're just around the corner.
Oh.
And I remember leaving the casino, and I was like,
Disappointed.
I was driving home. I wasn't drinking. I
Yep.
wasn't drinking. I was just driving home because I knew I had to deliver Christmas hampers the next day. And I was like yelling and screaming. Yeah, it was like the night before Christmas. Yeah. And I'm like driving home, and I'm yelling and I'm screaming to the universe. I'm like, why would you do this to me? I give up. I'm sick of having a relationship with you. Like, I was getting angry because I had put everything on the line for this. In my head.
Yes.
I did. And then I woke up the next, because I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have done everything you have asked of me.
Where's my gift?
Where's my present?
Like getting for Christmas.
Yeah. So the next day I woke up, and I was in just this funk. And I was like, no, Carly, get up. Move through your resistance. You're going to have a great day and bring some joy to other people, because you're going to get it back.
Yes.
So I got there.
Great attitude.
Yeah, I had to pull myself out of
Yeah.
that, though. I was in a funk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I started packing the hampers. I had the best day.
Oh.
I had the best day, and then I decided to deliver Christmas hampers to the homes where I lived in Benora Point.
Yep.
And I got to the second last house. It was pouring down rain.
It sounds like one of the Christmas movies.
I'm feeling
I can feel it.
I
Yes.
need to write. I think I need to write.
You
a
do
movie.
need to write a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great
Yes.
movie that
Yeah.
everyone...
So I drove up the I hesitated. I went back and forth with my intuition. Just go up the driveway. No, park there.
Oh.
And these hampers were heavy.
Yes.
This driveway was steep and narrow.
And it's raining.
Yeah.
The path is never easy.
I know, right? So I got all the way up there. I delivered this hamper to this young girl.
Yeah.
And then I got back in my car, and I started reversing back. And it was on the edge of a cliff. This driveway.
Yeah.
And I
Oh, God.
reversed back, and I got stuck, and I hit the back of their tree.
The universe was saying, you're not meant
Yes.
to leave yet.
We're going to put a tree in your
No,
way.
and I'm like sitting there, put my foot on the accelerator, going, no one can see me. Just
Yeah.
get out of this. We'll be all good.
Yeah.
And then next minute, I get more and more bogged. The neighbors are coming out, and they're all looking at me. And then next minute, they've got a chain, and they're wrapping around. And I'm sitting
this
here
is
going,
hilarious.
oh my gosh,
dying.
please just get me out of here.
Yeah.
And the whole, like, it was like the whole neighborhood came to help me.
Oh,
I love that.
I love
that.
this
that
is
they
a
all-
Christmas story.
And this girl came down that I delivered the hamper to, and then she was like, oh, look, I'll just see if I can call my partner because he's a mechanic.
Yeah.
She went through everyone in her phone.
Oh.
Couldn't get a hold of anyone.
Ah.
Anyway, her and I started talking, and turns out she was asking the universe for a friend.
Oh.
Because she'd been here and she was very lonely, and I'm like, well, here I am.
Oh,
I just smashed
it's
into
like
your
the
tree.
Gathering people. So beautiful.
So we hit it off. Her and I hit it off, and we were talking and laughing.
Yeah.
And all these men are coming down the street trying to help me.
Classic.
And I'm in this full Christmas attire as well. I got the Christmas
it gets
earrings.
better. It
I
gets
got
better.
I like decked. I look
Yeah.
like an elf.
Yeah.
God, you must have
basically.
just
I so
been
love
such
this.
an angel coming with these hampers.
Yeah.
You must have made people's day, literally.
It sounds like the most beautiful Christmas movie.
So she called everyone in a phone, and then she's got a twin sister, and she remembered there was a guy that helped her twin sister off the driveway as well.
Oh, classic.
Because this driveway is prone
Yeah, it
to
sounds.
people getting stuck.
Yes. Yeah.
So she didn't have his number. She knew him just off Facebook, and
Yep.
she reached out to him,
Wow.
and she was like, would you be able to help?
Yeah.
And so he got up, came down the street, and I remember him stopping there, and he got out, and I was like, oh, you look all right. You know, you're a bit easy on the eye.
Did anything like did you
Well,
look at him and think
I looked at him and I
Yep.
was like, oh, you look all right.
Yeah.
But because there was so much going on with
Yes.
my car,
the other
I
stuff?
didn't get sucked into that.
Yeah.
And he came up the driveway and was talking to me, and we chatted for ages, and then he couldn't get me, so he had to call two of his friends.
Oh,
Took him
this is
3.5
just hilarious.
hours to get me off the driveway.
Oh my
Serious?
gosh.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a good amount of time to get
Get to know
each
someone.
other.
We were just sitting talking. I was talking to his mates, and I mean, I was like
Yeah.
full decked out as an elf.
Looking real happy.
I'm going, oh gosh.
Yeah.
But because there was so much going on with my car, I didn't bring focus to it.
Yeah.
So I said to the boys, I'm like, look, I will drop you off some drinks.
Yes.
And I drive down the street. I've got no back to my car.
Oh.
Like, I'm driving down the street. I had to quickly get home.
Wow.
And within 5 minutes, that man had found me on Facebook.
Oh.
And then he started chatting to me.
Oh.
Right? And we just started talking, and he was pretty bold, and he was like, instead of buying me drinks, how about we go to the movies tonight?
Oh.
And I was like, well, this is the first time I've taken a man
Yeah.
on a date.
Yeah.
It was so...
It's so it
Yeah.
never gets delivered the way that you think it's going to be delivered.
Yeah.
It all comes through. Look at us. We're both tearing up. It's like,
Yeah, so he picked me up because I didn't, I had nothing.
Your car wasn't working.
I had nothing.
Yeah.
I was like,
and were you at Mum's?
I was at Mum's.
Yep. Yeah.
I was in an over 55 retirement village, had no car.
Oh,
He came and picked me up.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I had to have all these things ticked off before I found a man.
Yeah.
Right? And the universe goes, no, you don't need any of it.
Yeah.
So
It's
we
just
went to
you.
the,
It's all about you.
Yeah.
Nothing else but you.
we went to the movies that night, and we have been inseparable since.
Oh my God. And he's
And a few months later, we were down. I met his daughter.
so this is the girl that was holding the man's hand in your picture.
So we he had his daughter, and we went down to Ballina Beach, and we set up for the day because he's an avid fisherman.
Yeah.
Like, he
Love
loves
it.
the water.
Yep. My husband's an avid fisherman. Yep.
We set up, and then I'm like sitting on the beach, and they're walking down the waterway, and they're holding hands, and I'm sitting there going,
Oh.
this is where you were leading me, universe.
I cannot agree with you anymore.
This is where you were leading me.
Oh God.
And
What a moment.
That's
Did you
so
feel
beautiful.
that
I
moment?
sat there, and I was just like that full embodiment of trust,
Yeah.
of thank you, of gratitude.
Yeah. It's so beautiful.
And it when the more that my partner and I started talking, there was many sliding door moments. So where I lived with my ex, I would walk around the block with my dog and he would run the exact same time.
No way.
Yeah. There was so many sliding door
Yes.
moments of the universe was just trying to
Not
line
ready
us
yet.
up.
Not ready yet.
And was
not
he at the
ready yet.
casino that night but you didn't see each other?
He was out because he
Wow.
was very hungover
Yeah.
when he came to rescue me off the driveway.
He's like, where's that girl I was supposed to meet tonight?
Yeah, because for a year he was going through his own journey,
Yeah.
and we spoke about it because he, at that exact same time when I said to the universe, I give up, so did he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I just love those, you know.
Yeah.
I love how the universe, you know, we can ask for all these things and then like exactly what you just said, you know, we get pissed off and we're like, that's it, you know. And because it never comes the way we want it to come or the way we think it's going to come.
Because we're too in control.
Exactly.
If we're holding on tightly,
Yeah.
there's no space
No
for
way.
the universe to bring it in. So oftentimes those awakenings will come in to go, get out of your own way and let go because we got something bigger for you.
Well, I'm thinking too, you were in a moment of vulnerability. You know, your car was bogged. It's like you literally you were like,
You had to put the call out,
yeah,
SOS.
I need help. And you had to
Yeah.
let go of trying to control the situation so all these other people could come in and support you. And he just happened to be one of those, you know. And it happens in those
Not
moments.
happened to be Joe.
No.
He was meant to be.
He was meant to be, absolutely.
Yeah, because
so beautiful.
it was like magnets between him and
Yeah,
I, and
yeah.
we just wanted to be. It was just there was ease.
Yeah,
right? There was
yeah.
ease.
That's
with
a
Yeah,
beautiful word.
that's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
It was easy to talk to him. It was easy to be with him.
Wow.
Everything just easily lined up.
yeah.
And that's where the third awakening came in, is because we were 3 months into the relationship and I was going, because I'd always have, my hormones had always been on
Yeah.
and off, and when I went through my autoimmune condition, they weren't sure if I was going to be able to have kids or
Right.
not. But it was such a deep desire
Yeah.
for me. It was like my guiding force to be a mum, I think.
Yeah.
And we were 3 months into the relationship, and I was seeing my my holistic doctor, and they were testing my hormones, and she basically said to me, "You're not going to be able to have kids."
Wow.
That's a
Yeah.
strong
And I
sentence.
sat there 3 months into this relationship, crying
Yeah.
to him of this dream, and I remember sitting there going, if all I am is a mother to his daughter,
Yeah.
and she's come into my life to gift me that,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's more than enough.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So I had to basically grieve that dream, and then
And surrender again
and
almost.
surrender
Yeah.
again and get out of my own way. And the next month they sent me up to, it was the next month or two, they sent me up to the IVF specialist.
Yep.
And he's looking at my test results going, your hormones are great. You are very fertile.
Oh.
Very fertile.
Oh, amazing.
And he's like, they've
Different eyes.
just tested your hormones at the wrong time.
Oh.
So in that gap of a month, I fell pregnant with my daughter.
Oh,
Carly.
no way.
Oh,
That's
God.
so
But there was
beautiful.
no other way she would have come in, because once again, I've basically, in all my awakenings, had to let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or been forced to let go.
Oh.
Because the control was so strong
Yeah.
for me, because it was such a safety mechanism for me.
Absolutely.
And the universe goes,
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, isn't it like that for all of us?
Yeah.
And it's just the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Although when we do it, we go, why didn't I do that earlier? You know, but we don't know at the time.
Timing is
Yeah,
always right when we do, because we're ready then.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of belief systems around doing things the hard way. It's so hardwired in our genetic DNA.
Yeah. No,
So
absolutely.
the path of ease is foreign for
Yeah.
many people.
That's so explicitly
Yeah.
true, isn't
Yeah.
it? You know, and it's almost like if you go from being cave people, if you go back way back then, and survival was, and then we'd evolving and learning tools and gifts and abilities. That's still a part of our DNA. That survival,
We're always looking for safety.
Yeah.
safety.
But the
yeah.
path of having a divine relationship with the universe is there's a deep surrender to trust that the universe will always provide for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a deep surrender. To
Well,
that.
we've been brought up, in this 9 to 5 white picket fence, get married, have children, program that,
it's
there's
doing everything right.
It's doing, and it's completely wrong. That's all control. Control of self, control of others, control of everything. It's like there's no surrendering in there. That's part of the journey.
We strive to make it real as opposed to the ease of it becoming real.
Yeah.
And if that's what we want, the ease of it becoming real as opposed to, as you say,
the grind
and sacrificing no matter what. Because, okay, here's a man who wants to do this too. Even though I can't talk to him, I'm going to do it with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
And I think the biggest thing that, having a relationship with the universe is like having a relationship to anything.
Mm-hmm.
How do you talk to yourself? How do you talk to your partner? How do you talk to your children? Because that's the same way you're going to talk to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Are you constantly screaming? Are you bitter? Are you angry? Are you pushing away?
Yeah.
Because that's the same relationship you'll have with the universe.
Yeah.
And we're so conditioned to go it alone and be alone and find ourselves alone.
Yeah.
But some of the biggest awakenings I've had is with my partner.
Yeah.
And actually divinely committing to myself and committing to walk the path, not because I need him, but because I desire to be in this conscious relationship together. And that's probably one of the biggest awakenings I've actually been through.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I feel that. I really feel that. I resonate with that.
Yeah, because we both came through immense neglect,
Yeah.
right? And we didn't know what love was. And then we came together and we had so many things on our path, from unexpected pregnancies. He had postpartum in men from his daughter, and then when we fell pregnant, we had to navigate that.
Yeah.
Setting up our businesses together. And it's been interesting because there's been many a times where I've wanted to tear it all down and run away. But it's very different to show up and commit to myself and commit to this relationship.
Yeah.
It's
And
really beautiful what you're
process
saying
in the
too.
moment.
About, the whole having a relationship with the universe, which we would never, there's moments where we want to tell it to F off and whatever else, but I think there's a lot of play like out here where we're like, I trust the universe, it's got my back, and then we're doing shit over here that's not congruent, and it's like, and then we wonder why stuff's going wrong. And it's like, it is a full responsibility, self-responsibility in every aspect of your life to treat whoever you come in contact with as if that's the universe, because it really is.
Yeah.
We're all a reflection of one another. It's like how we treat each other is a total, reflection of how we treat the universe. And we ask them all those things, the relationship with each other and self, more self now than ever.
Yeah, and I think it's I think a lot of us have grown up very quickly because we've had to grow up very quickly because we're coming from long lines of traumatized people, traumatized parents, traumatized children. It's a big thing. So that being responsible, many people don't want to be responsible because they've had to be responsible way too quickly. And that's when people then slip into avoidance.
Yeah.
So where are you slipping into avoidance, and where are you needing to be showing back up and being responsible for self?
And seeing that being responsible for self can be the key to freedom.
Yeah, but a lot of us can't.
More work.
Yeah,
it's more work, but in a way that's rewarding, fulfilling, lifting, activating.
And I think a lot of people can't get off the story. The story owns them. It becomes their identity, and then there has to be someone to blame. It's like, how did I create that? They don't want to look at that part yet, and yet that's the way through. That's the part that we need to step into, that vulnerability that opens up the rest of the gifts and everything for us. The vulnerability.
Yeah, and also self-forgiveness.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Self-forgiveness is when you come to a place of complete self-forgiveness, you set yourself free. But But many people want to stay attached to the resentment and the anger because that's the only way they know how to feel that anger.
Yeah.
They've not been taught how to feel anger.
Yeah.
Anger's, many people don't want to feel anger because they've grown up with parents that were quite rageful or neglectful. But the thing is that that's not power and that's not healthy embodiment of anger.
Yeah.
That is the opposite of it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was listening to you before when you were saying about driving home and screaming at the universe, and those moments for me have always been, at the end of giving everything and then just going, okay, I can't do this anymore. But it's almost like that, and as you did point out, letting go of control. But that energy of freeing out is through the hurt, the grief, the anger, the frustration, the disappointment, all of that. It's very much a freeing out, emptying out energy. And then you kind of you're in the eye of the storm, isn't it? The calmness can come in, and even though it's a funk or whatever, it's a calmness as opposed to the striving or the control aspect. And the dysfunctional aspect of those energies, like in everyday life, the violence, the anger, the frustration, it is an addiction, isn't it? Because it's an activating energy. As much as it's a repeating of trauma, the activating energy is better than nothing, kind of thing. Feeling the pain, the anger gives you back power, control, but not really.
Yeah.
I
was just thinking that too. Yeah. I was just thinking too that there's this part where we have that if we're letting go of the anger or the resentment, it means the other person's winning.
Yeah.
Or the other person's won, and people just want to hold on to that. It's like, if you only knew that if you let go of all of that, you not only, yes, you are forgiving somebody, but the biggest part of all is you're forgiving yourself. And the other way is just entrapment. You just basically keep holding yourself somewhere that you're going to stay.
Well, it's self-imprisonment.
Yeah.
And underneath that is guilt.
Yeah.
Guilt to something.
Yeah.
The guilt, I could have done more, I should have done more, or that's why a lot of times people don't forgive self, is because there's guilt under it.
Yeah.
And it's a self-imprisoning, binding thing that we don't allow ourselves to move beyond.
Yeah, I love that saying, not forgiving is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
It's so true.
It's so true.
And we don't know, like, if I think a lot of what I've seen with working with clients is holding on to that resentment allows them to feel the anger because they don't even know how to feel it.
Yeah.
So you take that away from them and they're like, but how do I feel anger?
Yeah.
Because that's all they know, right? Something that I do with my daughter, like my daughter's 3 at the moment and she's going through a lot of tantrums and feeling her emotions, and I hold space for her. So I'm holding that space, I'm letting her feel without projecting onto her my own stuff. But that's what the universe is doing for us. So you think, you're in the car, you're driving, you're screaming, or you walk down to the beach and you start screaming. The universe is holding you in that.
Yeah.
The universe is not asking for anything more. The universe is like your mother.
Yeah.
Holding you in your anger. Don't feel guilty for expressing that out.
Yeah.
Because I always say to my clients, you have to have a way to feel and get the anger out, because otherwise it's going to build up in your muscles, you become tense, you become rigid, because it's storing in your body.
Yeah. Well, that's
Feeling that.
Let's just breathe that in a minute.
Yes.
Because that's so beautiful to feel the universe holding you in that space and not expecting anything of you.
It's like when I hold my daughter in her anger, I don't go, I don't have time for this.
No,
Get away from me.
Yeah.
Or you're naughty.
Or that's wrong.
Yeah.
I just hold her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful space to be in as a mother, to be able to do that for your child. Not create any story around it.
Realise it's not about you, it's just literally about what they're feeling in the moment.
Yeah, but we want to create stories because, like you said, it gives us an identity of who we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
I want to go back and ask you, when you were 29 to 31, like when you started this, you know, the journaling and the you used a specific word, what you were doing. Scripting. I loved that word. What was the trigger for that? Like, was that just like what started you with just being in that space around opening up in that way?
Well, we kind of started talking about this before we came onto the podcast around portals.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that too.
Yeah. Well, they kind of go hand in hand together. So when I was in that space of divinely being guided by the universe, I had nowhere to go. The universe would get me to go out to Crumble Valley. And I would sit there and I'd be like, okay. Like, and then all of a sudden all this channeling started to activate in.
Beautiful.
And, you know, I was like, what is going on here? And it was almost as if there was a lot of information that started coming through, channeling through and embodying it. So I would go out every single day and I would sit in the Crumble Valley.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's one particular park every day. I'd put my feet in the water and I'd start to channel and channel and channel. And then I started to get guided to other places. And this is what we were talking about before. There is a lot of places, particularly in the northern rivers, of portals.
Yeah. Wow.
So they're gateways to the infinite abundance of the universe. So when you stand in these gateways, you are directly in alignment to Creator.
Yeah.
And all the information can be found.
This is so interesting because I just saw something this morning around exactly what you're talking about, and how, you know, we're actually, there's parts in the quantum space that is opening up for us to fully embody our higher selves, and that we will be operating from that space, you know, if we want that to occur. And this is part of that. Yeah. Because although you're in this portal, this space that's, you know, downloading all this information, it's actually just you, isn't it? Connecting with the higher part of you, the knowing part. Yeah. That's just getting all this information.
It's like a clear channel.
Yeah.
So Currumbin, we were talking about Miami.
Yes.
And how you'll find also too, how many people do you run into when you're in these spaces? So Fingal, Currumbin Valley, Miami.
Yeah.
There's no coincidence why you get guided there. And then all of a sudden you have like these epiphanies.
Yeah.
Because you are in direct alignment with the universal energies there. They are gateways.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I love that. We're going to go and put our feet in some waters somewhere.
Yeah, and they're all over the world too.
Yeah.
There's no coincidence why you jump
points
on a plane and you go across the world.
Yeah.
Like Chalice Wells, you know, in Glastonbury is another one.
Oh, write that down.
You know,
I'm going to Glastonbury next month.
Yeah, it's the heart portal. Of
What was it called again?
Chalice Wells.
That sounds like something.
It's just been really activated with the festival there too, isn't it? So
well,
the
Mary
energy
Magdalene.
will be huge.
That's on
a festival of
I have some cards that have all the all these like places, like angel cards, but they have all significant places, and I think that's where I've seen that.
You need to pull those cards.
I need to pull those cards out. I've
Make
got
a
so
list.
many cards.
Activation.
That's incredible to, when you start thinking about where you're walking at the time and the relationship to that. What more the expansiveness of that, what more that brings in. The awareness of where you're walking, the awareness of where you are at any present moment, and what space you're walking through.
It comes back to that
amazing relationship
asking,
to consider, isn't it?
Doesn't it? It's like that relationship with the universe.
And
it's
also
like, are you in it all the time?
Yeah.
To be able to feel those spaces.
And
always.
less is more. So like when I had my whole day of space and the universe got me to just surrender, I'd go out to the valley and I would write, and that would be it. And I'd be like, there's got to be more to this, like, you know, and that would be it.
Wow.
And sometimes we want to overcomplicate it, right? But sometimes you taking inspired action and doing it, that's it.
Yeah.
There's a process to being in alignment with the universe, you know?
That's part of the program, isn't it, too? Wanting more, always wanting more. There has to be something more.
Or I've done this, so what's coming to me?
Yes. And that is so amazing in itself, being able to write something that's channeled from somewhere else and of self, and then reading that later and be like, wow, how's that? That's magic.
Well, do you find, like, because when you, like, I love, again, I just say that word scripting, but so do you find now looking back that the writings then were an activation, like that were part of a, making real?
So interesting you say this, because sometimes we don't realize we're on the path until we look down and we're like, look how far we've come, right?
Yeah.
Because recently I've been sitting behind the scenes of my business and desiring to create an entire platform of how to communicate with the universe in this effortless way. And I looked back at all my old journaling and I was like, I've been doing this the entire time.
Oh, wow.
So let's put this in a way that is easy for people to understand.
Yeah.
Simple, ease, simplicity, so that you bring it and incorporate it in every day of your life.
Yeah.
And scripting is basically talking what you desire out to the universe and saying it is so and it will be. Say it is so and it will be.
Yeah.
I desire to have it's in the embodiment of your heart too.
Intention.
Yeah. I have this now. I say it is so and it will be.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. And so it is. I love that too. Yeah. Because it already is happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we are the co-creators of our reality. We have been unconsciously creating.
Yeah.
Now we are waking up to see how magnificent we truly are.
I really feel that, because sometimes I've looked, like, I think from a personal point of view, like when I was younger, it's like, what am I here for? What am I going to do? And it was along the lines of like, what am I going to be when I grow up? But I wasn't really meaning that, because it was and it was almost like, well, time's slipping by, what am I doing, what am I here for, these sort of things. But now the energy is just so tangible around all of that, that literally that acceptance of self and the living with self in the heart space and taking inspired action, and all these words that you're using today I'm finding so activating and just so
simplified.
Yeah. And
beautiful.
the realizing of what we're all here for
Yeah.
is this.
So beautiful.
Yeah, so many people come in to see me in my healing space, and they're all looking for that. What am I here for? What am I here to do? I feel like I'm here to do something big, but I'm not doing it. I get into those spaces sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not Prime Minister yet.
I'm not taking over the world.
Yeah.
But it's your whole soul purpose here is to be in the embodiment of joy, to create from joy, to live from joy, to be from joy, to accept joy in. And so many people are afraid of joy. They run in the opposite direction.
Or if they have a moment of joy, they're looking over their shoulder waiting for the crash. I'm always saying to Amanda, I've been feeling so amazing lately, like I've been in joy, but I feel myself going, when is it going to crash? When's the not so joy going to come in? It's like, but I think even communicating that is a way through too, because I'm like, no, that's just a pattern, or that's just a belief. Let that go. This is a new moment. It's a new Joe. Let's create differently.
And I think, so many people are it's in your cells, it's in your DNA, it's in your belief systems. We're so hardwired for chaos and conflict.
It's wild.
So when we sit in this space of immense joy, oftentimes we don't know what to do with it. We're waiting for something, the rug to be pulled from underneath us. But that's the whole purpose of, like, how can I be and embody joy, let joy into my life, create, play, learn from joy, and keep moving on the path of joy.
I think also a lot of people don't, like, I think if the universe in its most magnificent form just flopped down in front of us and said, I'm here, what would you like? I don't think a lot of people actually know what they want. to be honest. I think if it came to that point, you'd be like, oh, I don't know, you know. I think a lot of people would probably say, oh, money, or, you know, I don't know. I don't know whether people would say, I want joy.
Well,
I just want joy.
The thing around, do you ask for material things, or do you ask for joy, which embodies anything being possible?
Absolutely.
Because you're in a space of giving and receiving.
So I think a lot of people are afraid or don't know what they want.
Because it's a limited way of thinking, and as we move into these higher consciousness times, we're being expanded into limitless ways of thinking.
Yeah.
Limited to limitless.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we're also letting go of, isn't it? Letting go of limited.
And the other thing that we talk about a lot too, which I don't think we have even talked about it, is love. I mean, apart from this beautiful, you know, relationship that you created so beautifully.
Hello.
I think
Heart chakra.
Today
I think a lot of people haven't really felt the true essence of love, like the real true essence of it, and whether we can actually handle it, whether we think we can handle, you know, that, which is really interesting.
That's where I got let in with theta healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Because after I birthed my daughter, I birthed my daughter in the midst of COVID.
Yes. Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And then from there, I went through this unraveling. Like, I remember holding my daughter and I was 6 months in and I was breaking down on the lounge.
Yeah.
Like, I was having this, like, manic episode. And I was like I was crumbling because it was bringing up all my neglect and abuse and abandonment of me as a child. She was mirroring that to me. And I was like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
The joy of motherhood. It's such a gift, isn't it?
It's the biggest awakening.
Yeah.
It really is. And I remember for the first 6 to 7 months, everything that kept me and my spirituality fell away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, no wonder I don't feel like myself. But it was like she was awakening me to something bigger. And then I remember, like, 7 months in, that's when I found kinesiology. I was like, I'm going to do this for me. I feel like the medicine found me anyway.
Yeah.
And then, I navigated trying to get across the border to complete.
Because you mentioned you were living on the border at that time.
Yeah, so I was living in New South Wales.
2 years.
I was studying in Queensland, and every day I would have to basically,
work
navigate
your way
to try and get my way across the border.
From the listeners at OS, during those times of
we had closures.
We had border closures.
Yep.
So living one side of the street wasn't allowed to cross to the other side of the street, literally.
Yeah, it's
over
crazy.
New South Wales,
Invisible
Queensland.
line.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can wave,
Wow.
but you can't touch.
Yeah. And so I navigated through that, and I finished it. And then the universe placed me right onto the edge of the border and was like, you're going to work from here.
Oh, wow.
And for 2 years, I saw mothers and children, and they would come through.
Beautiful.
And what I didn't realize at the time was that I was placed onto the border, right in the thick of the
crisis
chaos.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the universe would guide me all these clients, and I would just be activating all my clients, pulling down the conditionings and the beliefs. And then I was led into shamanism, Western shamanism, around about the same time, and that's really where my soul medicine
kicked in.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We're actually going to build on each other so beautifully.
Yeah. And once again, like, that's where so the space that I was working in the entire time, I never realized, but there was a book sitting on the shelf for about a year and a half. And then I looked over, and it was Theta Healing Diseases and Disorders.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that book is calling my name.
Yeah.
And I picked it up and I couldn't put it down. And I was like, universe, if I'm meant to do this, if this is part of my path, then I ask that you bring it to me.
Yeah.
And I let it go.
Yeah.
And I tried to go searching for a teacher, couldn't find anyone. And then I had a friend say, I'm going to study theta healing. And I was like,
Where?
And she's like, in this space. And I'm like, that's where I work.
Are you
you're
kidding me? Oh, literally,
The
it's under your
teacher
nose the whole time.
it was under my nose the whole time.
Wow.
So I spent a good 6 months studying the 4 levels
Yep.
of theta healing, and then the start of this year I was led in to become a practitioner of it.
Wow. Unreal.
And then at the start of this year I was divinely guided to move where I was renting a space,
Yep.
and I set up the Awaken Heart Spiritual Transformation Center.
Ah, beautiful. Beautiful,
Incredible.
beautiful, beautiful.
And
Yeah.
all this time, literally, while your daughter was... So, again, a journey for yourself as a mother and, with a young baby, but expanding into this space of service. So it's like a learning, as it is, isn't it? It's the learning, receiving support that you needed, but also for what you're doing out there in the community.
And I feel like when I was having that breaking down, when my baby was a newborn, I thought motherhood would fulfill me way more than what it did.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be the be all and end all.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, but every part of me is still deeply yearning to be a mother and to go out and be a healer.
Yeah.
And I can do both.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of the
Fabulous.
unravelings of
Yeah.
like, I get to do it all, be it all, and I
Yeah.
get to have it all.
Yeah. How wonderful
yeah.
for your daughter to be able to see that,
But she activated me
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah.
She came in at a time where the world was upside down, and for a soul to choose that time,
Perfect.
she's got a big
Yeah.
mission.
Yeah.
And you shared a little bit around the birthing experience, the labour.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. So at that time, we didn't know if my partner was going to be able to come in.
Ah,
So every
yep.
day, once again, was
Yeah.
sitting
So
in
much
that
conflict around that
unknown.
space.
Yeah. So it brought up a lot of fear and a lot of surrender. And I birthed her in the Tweed Hospital.
Yeah.
My partner was in there. I had an incredible birthing experience, but towards the end, I hemorrhaged.
Yeah.
And they didn't pick it up for 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of blood.
But I had an earth angel
Yes.
of a nurse that came in.
Yeah.
There was a changing of shifts, and one nurse walked out and she walked in. She
Yep.
saw me hit a buzzer.
Wow.
And I had about 8 doctors coming in, and it was full on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's something in the path that I work a lot with women and children through trauma.
Yeah.
And moving beyond trauma is anything that's out of your control activates trauma.
Yeah.
So what I didn't realize at the time of after having my daughter, I'm like sitting there holding her and I'm like unraveling. But that's because I didn't realize the severity of what had happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I have so many women that come through my door and children that come through my door, and that's the starting point is birth trauma.
Wow, that's a whole other area that we
Yeah.
could go down. I'm going to come back to the questions
we had
too.
recently, just
yeah.
like this trail along
Of doulas and
birthing and
Yeah.
midwives, and what's up cosmically at the moment is this whole focus around the divine feminine and the balance between the divine feminine and divine masculine, but also this womb wisdom
yeah.
medicine is just getting louder and louder and louder. So I love that this is a big
Well, that's
part
what
of
I
the
do a lot in
space.
my shamanic healings is I do womb activation.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yay. How beautiful. Now we have actually jumped ahead a fair bit.
We've travelled
Yeah.
through quite a bit of really...
So I'm going to
Gorgeous
jump
things.
to what have you had to give up on your journey? Like people or things or, is there
That's
anything?
a big one. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
You know, when I was 24, I lost a lot of friends.
Yep.
I shouldn't say lost, actually. Like, they fell away.
Yeah.
I was 24 and all my friends were partying
Yeah.
and I was at home not well. So I lost a lot of friendships.
Yeah.
Uh,
But that sounds like it was all meant to be too,
yeah.
doesn't it? Yeah.
So when you look at
Clearing
it, like there
space.
was a lot of things that were lost, but it's like the universe brought in much
Yeah.
more grander things
Yeah.
for me. So I had a lot of relationships that fell away.
Like there was probably the alcohol. I don't know. Did your diet change? Was there
Everything.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting, like, and why? I mean, we know why the alcohol,
and the
because
gut
that wasn't.
autoimmune.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to give up when I first got sick, I was living off 4 foods
Okay.
for 12 months.
Wow.
Which ones were they?
They were pumpkin,
Yeah.
green beans. I was like on a low salicylate diet. Like I was just reacting to everything.
Yeah.
Green
Talk about
beans,
the process
pumpkin.
of elimination. Hey. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like, when you look at it now, it's almost like you were, and you did say cleaning the slate, literally stripping
Inside
you
and out.
right back
Yeah.
to then begin again. And so, okay, look, you've asked, you know, because you were at that stage talking to the universe, come on, please help me. Okay, we'll give you a clean slate.
Yeah, but I said recently, I was saying this to my friend, and I was like, I don't need to keep wiping the slate clean and going back to the start again.
No.
So I'm clearing this belief out because I get to keep expanding, you know? So there's a lot of things, you know, food fell away, relationships fell away, partnerships fell away, my family fell away for a while. I couldn't bear to be around them for quite a while.
And sometimes it's meant to be, isn't it? Like, you
Yeah,
just
but
need that space.
you know, sitting in a space now, I have my mum and my dad that come in for sessions with me.
Oh, how
Epic.
gorgeous.
So full circle,
Yeah.
you know, my mum comes in and has a healing, my dad comes in and has a healing, and it was really since my daughter, you know, they went through their own awakening since having her.
yeah.
It's like they saw everything they didn't do and they want to do everything in a different way with her.
It's incredible,
You're
that
the
role of the
catalyst.
grandparent, isn't it? What that brings to like what a child can bring to a family. And you know, you reflect on that relationship you mentioned with your grandma, and now your parents are grandparents of your child.
Yeah.
And
They get to do it differently.
But
It's
I had
another
to
form of forgiveness, isn't it?
I had to do a lot of self-forgiveness
Yeah.
with that because I had to let the walls down and I had to let them in. And I had to, let go of what I was holding on to. Because it wasn't about my daughter.
Yeah.
My daughter gets to have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
And she has an abundant relationship with them.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. What do you do now to support yourself in staying in the moment?
scripting.
I got to think of how I wake up. Like, you know, I do this like second nature now.
Yeah.
But, you know, for me, I wake up, even I make sure that I have, like, when I have a shower, I'm always listening to music.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And even if my daughter comes in and interrupts me in the shower, I make sure that we, you know, just play. Like, I'm in the shower as a mum, dancing. That's still my spiritual connection.
Yeah.
Music, water,
Beautiful.
play.
I was going to say the water.
Yeah. You know, I wake up and I take my flower essences. My daughter does as well. We make sure that we go down to the beach and go for walks.
Yeah.
It's the simplicity of it.
The connection.
It doesn't have to be complex, but it's whatever brings you the true connection to yourself.
Yeah.
Go down to nature. Go for a walk along the beach. My partner and our daughter, you know, when we pick her up from daycare.
Yeah.
It's not all the time that he comes, but there are times where we'll go down as a family. But I think my partner and myself and our children, we've come to a really great dynamic of when do we have time as a family? When does he have time for himself? When do I have time for myself?
Yeah.
Because particularly as a mother, we want to excessively give till we burn out, and we are the last to be looked at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not selfish, it's necessary to fill your cup up
Yeah.
because you become much more of an abundant person.
Yeah.
And there's so much around giving. Like, we give excessively.
The simplicity of just feeding yourself as well. Like, you know, as, you know, you make meals for your children, to remember to give yourself some nourishment so that you have energy. I mean, sometimes it's that simple, as you're saying, to fill your cup. And it's not necessarily about having a night out with a girlfriend while dad stays home. Or it's not about missing out on anything. It's about the putting back in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say. But also what you're describing about your looking after yourself, it's about being connected to the moment.
Yeah, and it can be simple. Like it's changed a lot since being a mum, you know. But it's like, okay, well, where can I have even 5 to 10 minutes before I get up from the whole house?
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna put my headphones on, and I'm just gonna listen to meditative music.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wake up in the morning and pull some oracle cards.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the movies. I can't remember the last time I went to the movies until just recently.
Yeah.
It's like, what did your inner child used to do that was fun? That's fallen away.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm hearing you too. I'm big on the music, the high frequency. I'm big on the activating music at the moment in my home all the time. It's just going all the time. I just love that space. It opens something in me that's like trusting more. You know, it's like, but I'm finding if I do something that's a little bit kind of over that way, off track a little bit, I'm like, I lose the connection to self, to the universe, and then I wonder why things might stuff up or whatever. But I'm constantly...
Or not feel right. Is that when you say stuff up? Because I'm hearing what you're saying, and it's that, I'm not feeling this right. I'm not feeling good. Yeah. What am I doing? Okay, come back over here.
Like the devices these days, you know, they're so trapping.
I was like that last week. I felt like I was having this unraveling of like, I felt really off.
Yeah. Yeah. Out of alignment.
Yeah, out of alignment. I was like, okay, what can you do to bring yourself back into alignment? And the first thing I did was I set boundaries within myself. I'm going to stop going on social media from 6 o'clock. Yeah. And I'm going to use it to the times of, say, 7 a.m. when I wake up. Yeah. To say 6. Yeah. And I'm not going on anymore.
Perfect.
Because it's...
Yeah.
When
it's
you're...
a tool,
yeah,
not a business tool rather than a...
Yeah, we were just talking about this morning.
So that was the first thing that I did. And then the second one was I reached out to a friend and asked for a healing. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I need to fill myself up. I need to come back into alignment. Yeah. It's those little things
that make the big difference.
Yeah. But I think it was also, I was in a space of striving for so much more into the future where I wasn't being abundantly blissful in the present. Yeah. And sometimes it's so simple of coming back to gratitude. When you feel overwhelmed, just come back to gratitude. Get a gratitude book, write down 8 things you're grateful for, and then start putting one thing a day and add to that list. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. It's simple, but it can be massive as well, just in that activation or that vibration and frequency you're putting out to the universe as well.
And I was reading something around literally what you just said recently too, about those moments you feel overwhelmed, pull back into the present moment, what gives you feel into the gratitude, and take one step at a time going forward from there. Yeah. Because what you just said then about going forward too much, that's the thing that takes us out, isn't it? Because we tap back into that chaos and control mechanism again. How am I going to make this happen? The pressure of realizing something that hasn't happened yet. So it's the little steps that make it happen. So if I stay in each step, I'm doing the best I can until I get to that moment, which is, where is that moment? It's right here.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Last question. Ooh. How do you see the world now, and what do you see next for us?
Through Carly's eyes.
Yeah.
Many people will probably say there's immense chaos in the world at the moment. But I look at the past few years, and there is no other way the world and humanity would wake up and see without what we've just experienced.
Absolutely.
We were put into ultimate places and spaces of separation to awaken to see we deeply desire connection.
Yeah, beautifully said. Yeah.
So to me, it feels like there's this sense of that there's a swirling that's happening at the moment, but it almost feels like the fog's going to dissipate and we're just going to see this pathway. Yeah. And everybody's going to go through it in their own time, right? I feel like healers, leaders, light workers are going to be called into service because so many people are awakening through their own process.
Yeah.
You know, coming into the next particularly 6 to 7 years, we're going to keep going higher and higher into this consciousness state and living in the embodiment of our heart. So everybody is going through their own process of seeing their own stuff.
Yeah.
It's confronting, but there's nowhere else to run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's finding that true essence of who you really are, and then taking those gifts and using them.
I feel like in the next coming years, particularly, like I keep getting the number 7, but I feel like there's going to be, so there's a lot at the moment of karmic relationships ending, falling away, what's not serving you anymore.
Yeah.
Where have I been denying what I truly desire?
Yeah.
And I feel like in the next coming years, there's going to be a lot of conscious relationships unfolding.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we've been hearing that and feeling that too. Yeah.
Conscious children.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of spirit babies coming down, activating in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Because they've got that
beautiful.
heart wisdom, and they're awakening their parents so
Yeah.
they can be in the embodiment of that, so that they can support them to move and live it.
Absolutely, and that their parents, like yourself, are a lot more conscious than, you know, our parents or the parents that have walked before us, that are allowing the space to hold the space for these kids to come into their full selves, you know, straight away.
Because they're going to come in with nothing.
Yeah.
There's going to be this light.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they need parents that are going to keep them in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's so true, and hold the space. That's so beautiful.
Oh, it is. Something, and I think what you were saying about the heart space, I just had this connection to, like, the mental illness is just so prevalent and so huge, but it's that conflict between, being up in here and being so caught up in the control and the chaos and the paradigms of, or the constructs of what we're trying to survive in. And when we move into some of those spaces, or into that space of the heart and the moment, and it's the little things, we move away from the striving. We start to find peace again, and there's no pressure to be someone or something. It's being ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
Discovering ourselves. So that's an immense freedom. And as you say, over those next few, in the joy, the next few years of what this relationships with self, relationships with the universe that you've been talking about today, and relationships with others, is so many avenues of change in there.
Yeah.
Possible.
Just gotta remember to ask.
Exciting. Just remember to ask.
And the universe, our angels and the universe can only respond when we ask.
Yeah.
Verbalizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need help with this.
Yeah.
Can you please help me?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you read your scripts out loud, or your virtually?
I'll be driving it. So I'm moving into teaching this. In the next coming years, I'm going to teach people how to script, how to talk to the universe, have an abundant relationship.
Yeah, the simplifying of that's what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So all of that we will put on the bottom of the podcast, all of your links to your Instagram and website.
Yeah. Well, I'm having this mass unfolding
I noticed
happening.
Yes, and I thought there must be some change in the air, because I couldn't actually get onto the website, but there's links through the Instagram link tree that you can go onto that take you through to another area.
Yeah, so the website's going to be up in the next week.
Perfect.
So, you'll still have the Instagram.
Yes.
Exciting.
There's a bit, so I've got a podcast myself. I'm just about to start a YouTube channel. So,
Yay.
So your podcast is active now? Like fantastic.
Yeah, that's all
that's
linked in the
exciting.
Instagram. Yeah, I saw that today. So we'll pop all those links down so people can jump and listen to you and grab some magic from you as well. So
tap into heart space.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been beautiful.
It has.
So beautiful.
Really beautiful.
I feel like my theta is like fully. That's where I'm
Activating.
just sitting there, right? We never really get to talk about that next time.
Yeah. Thank you, Callie.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and remember, all links to our guest are in the notes. Leave us some comment here or message us on Instagram how our guest today connected with you, or perhaps something you wish to share. A special thank you to the blissful Ksenia Luki for our theme song. Joe and I will be with you next week.
Bye.
Ciao.
She teaches me lessons, and boy does she sing. Her voice sways like a hummingbird, flies like a shooting star. She whispers, "You are